All right, welcome to Fine Music, episode 4, 724. 724, wow. And as you can see, as promised in my 10 questions self-episode of Fine Music 723, I'll talk about instrumentals because that's my favorite music, even greater than prog rock, and I love prog rock a lot. Instrumentals, I've got a list here of 181 great instrumentals I'm going to share with you. I made this list a while ago, even, so I could add to this list, but I won't do it now. So I gotta switch the shares. Let's do that. All right, this is an alphabetical list. If I get it up here. There it is. It's me. It's a list. Okay. These are the first 18, and there's just too many to discuss. So I'm not going to discuss all of them. I'll just point out some of my favorites along the way and maybe the formative ones now that I think about it. Okay, so it's an alphabetical list, 181 great instrumentals. Here we go. Looking at that list, I see number 4, which is another version of the future sound of London called Amorphous Androgynous, The Lovers. That's real hippy dippy. Feel like hippy dippy instrumentals. Right next door is number 5, John Anderson, Ocean Song, which I first heard when I was 17. Very spiritual music. Love it to this day. You might have heard of The Art of Noise, Moments in Love. That's kind of a slow burner. Right next door to that, Arzicello, Queen Street Gang. That was the instrument I was trying to remember in the episode because it's just from 1969. Very fundamental rock and roll instrumental. It's not Frankenstein, don't get me wrong. This one kind of has a beat. Hey, Burt Bacharach, Disguise in Love with You. I think it's instrumental. It's on there. There must be an instrumental version. Wally Badarou, The Fita Futa. Delightful. The Bad Plus, the first time I heard them, boy, I was really moved by their slow jazz instrumentals. It was just relaxing. The Battles is the opposite of relaxed, if you've heard them. The Beatles Flying is one of the most famous instrumentals. Jeff Beck's Earthquake is my favorite Jeff Beck instrumental. I'll slide up a bit. Woohoo! Brian Bennett's Voyage, that's disco. David Bowie's Speed of Life, not disco. It's upbeat, right? He's got some others that are more contemplative, like Brian Eno, because they collaborated together and made Subterraneans, for example. Oh, I love number 18, Joyce Brockington in the back of the churchyard. That is just a obscure masterpiece of an instrumental album. I think it's called The United Chair. It's the name of the album, but that's the best song on the album, in the back of the churchyard. Beautiful instrumental, very moving. Phil Bruford's Sahara Snow might be his best instrumental, but then there's his Earthworks up north. That's great too. It's jazzier. Black Moth Super Rainbow, Dreamsicle Bomb is the bomb. That's danceable. I like it too. Blue Oyster Cult's Bucks Boogie. He lives up to his title. Brand X and Soda F, right? That's Phil Collins' drumming influence on Brand X. Jazz, number 25 by Brick. That was my jam when I was in high school. Harold Budd, Nicky D. Anything Harold Budd almost is wonderful instrumentally, and Nicky D is a great sound adventure. He has his power with silences is almost as great as with sound. You know, he really knows how to use silences. Harold Budd, very ethereal. Who else comes to mind? Burial's kind of hip. Truant is probably their best. The video on YouTube is wonderful. It's a Tokyo subway. Really done, well done. Don Campbell, that's not me. That's just a guy who has the same name as me, and he passed away a few years ago. He was the guy who invented that idea of playing Mozart to your babies to develop their brains. That was Don Campbell. And he has some very pleasant instrumentals too, 20-minute sidelong type stuff. The Charlatans, that's a beat heavy instrumental, feel flows, really chunky. Chicago's Air is very light, fluty. Kulat Symphony, French instrumental, side long, two sides, wonderful. Rycooter Parish, Texas should be legendary in anyone's mind who's ever heard it. Really fits the movie Paris, Texas. Couldn't be better. Cosmos is very obscure from Japan, all female synthesizer group, made Musictopia, very delightful, kind of disco-y. Daft Punk, I made this list before they did the soundtrack for Tron. Well, no, wait, that's not true. This is from Tron. Yeah, so their soundtrack from Tron is my favorite Daft Punk, and this is proof of that. End of line of Duress. Miles Davis. Mm, shh, Peaceful is what, 1969? I think 68, 69. In a Silent Way, that album. Oh, wonderful. Mystic Waters is strictly New Age. Dead Can Dance, Kiko. Dead Can Dance has a lot of great instrumentals, but Kiko is possibly my favorite. Induce is also very good. I would possibly change that to Induce, but they've got some phenomenal instrumentals as well as wonderful vocals. The two great vocalists I was talking about in my 10 questions. So, Death Grips, Runway J. That's my jam from a couple years back. Colas, I mean, Colas. Novus Magnificat, Part One by Constance Demby. Rest in peace, Constance. You made one of the most heavenly slices of 20 minutes music that'll take you to heaven and back. And the shorter form of that would be Deuter's Kindred Spirit. Very relaxing, very sensual. Dixie Dregs, I'm freaking out. Yeah, that's a real instrumental exercise. Doobie Brothers, Flying Cloud. Yeah, they could do instrumentals too. Yeah, about one per album. Yeah. See, Eagle's Journey of the Sorcerer, that was used in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the original radio. I'm not, maybe the radio show, I don't know, but the one that was on PBS used the Eagle's Journey of the Sorcerer, right? Bernie Leeds. He did instrumentals too. 808 State, In Your Face. Late 80s dance music. Great to do aerobics with, as my wife at that time did. Eyes and Signs. Graf Zaal is a tribute to Kraftwerk. One of the best I've ever heard. Your Electric Light Orchestra's Fire and High. That's from that concert, my very first concert I went to in 1976. Bevan on the drums. Oh my God. Toccata. I had a friend in high school who'd actually play toccata, piano. Clyde Phillips. I remember now. This guy saw a great early example of Brian Eno's more rock-oriented instrumental. Roger Eno, his brother, voices, using voices, I believe, to make an instrumental. Lovely. Explosions in the Sky. Is that post-rock, instrumental, math rock, post-rock? Your Hand in Mind is their sweetest, but a lot of great songs there that, they go slow and fast and quiet and loud, that kind of thing. I only learned about Fascinator's Midnight Rainbow by going to a concert. I went to see Pond, and the opening act was Fascinator, which this guy had some instrumentals. It's all on machines and stuff. Midnight Rainbow was the bomb. The Fence, they're jazz, good jazz, and it may not be well known, but it's good fusion. Uh, FM, Dialing for Dharma. It's from an album called Black Noise. Great vocals, great space music for you space lovers. The short instrumental on Peter Pan Becomes Alive. Any for your thoughts? Beautiful. Jun Fukumachi, Japanese synthesizer player, brilliant. Done some absolutely marvelous albums, and his version of Ave Maria is gorgeous. It's on I think it's called Second Phase. Is the album that has that on it. There's the Future Son of London, that hippy dippy instrumental stuff that just makes you feel like you're back in the 60s and 70s. Elysian Fields, probably the best. Speaking of the 70s, Genesis, Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers from Wind and Wuthering is a lovely instrumental. I even made a love song out of it. Geometric Vision takes you back to the 80s. David Gilmour is definitely, I think that's the right spelling. I'm not sure about that, but that was, during the late 70s when he did his instrumental and when he did his solo record. Let's leave it at that. I love Gong's Time is the Key. That's with, I think it says like a xylophone or something like that. The whole album is wonderful. Gong, Time is the Key. Lovely record. All right, let's head down to 68. Uh, we're a third of the way through. GTR, Hackett to Bits, Steve Hackett cranking. Steve Hackett's Spectral Mornings, right? That's a ethereal piece that rocks. Herbie Hancock Rocket, I think everybody might have heard of that one, right? That's a hit. Uh, what else is really worth mentioning? There's a lot of, this is all good, but I want to highlight. Robert Henke's Signal to Noise is one of those albums where it just takes you to an otherworldly place. Steve Howe's Sketches in the Sun, great instrumental, the fingerwork. In Death That Ends, We All Die. That's one of those obscure groups that I would recommend because they make this dance music that's really hard-edged. It's very hard-edged, but I love it. And the instrument and the videos are great too. Jade Warrior, Weight of the Sun. This is such a positive, upbeat instrumental. I highly recommend it. Great video on YouTube using uh, motorcycles doing jumps. Fun video. Jean-Michel Jarre. Trying to remember his name in that last video, 10 questions, because Fourth Rendezvous, oh, deeply moving, the whole Rendezvous album, and he did several great instrumental albums, right? That one, he did a collaboration with the astronaut who died in the Challenger. Uh, very touching. Jefferson Airplane, Embryonic Journey, good short little instrumental. Jethro Tull's Boré should be legendary, right? For flute. Eddie Jobson, Theme of Secrets, that's kind of new agey. Elton John, Out of the Blue. Did you know he did instrumentals? Yes, he did. Kind of fusiony. Jean-Paul Jones, Leafy Meadows, rocks. Of course, he's from Led Zeppelin. Senri Kawaguchi, she's a jazzer. Plays drums, young jazz drummer. Ginza Blues is wonderful. Anything she does is wonderful, just like Prong Bin, Maria Tom I believe is an instrumental. There's always some micro singing going on in their songs, but it's instrumentally quite a groove. If you know Krong Bin, that's a relaxed groove. Oh yeah. King Crimson Groon lives up to his title. Guitar Cosmic Love lives up to its title too, all right? It's very ethereal, a little bit bombastic, but I like it. Cool and the Gang, Summer Madness, that got me through, I think, the summer of 75, right? Light of Worlds album, if I'm right about that. That was a long time ago. Hal Kossoff, Time Spent, Time Away. His instrumental comes in different lengths. I like the 18-minute one. Oh, yeah, that's a let you drift off in a very pleasant way. Kraftwerk's Comet Melody, one of the very first instrumentals I ever heard, set me on this instrumental bandwagon. Zeppelin's Four Sticks should be legendary, right? John Bonham, rest your soul. Jeff Lorber Fusion. That's one of my favorite jazz fusion bands, right? It's the pleasant stuff, not dissonant, but pleasant. And Magic Lady might be the best one. But there's so many good instrumental by Jeff Lorber Fusion. Get the early ones like Water Sign. Wonderful. Remain Push Push. That's good. Paul McCartney, Bogey Wobble from McCartney 2. Fun. Fun. He knows how to experiment and have fun, right? Number 9. Merlin's Magic is kind of new agey, but I like it. Moby, The Rain Falls and the Sky Shutters. Now he's so interesting because Moby, he can do just about any genre. And he can do ethereal music, instrumental music very well. It lives up to its title. The rain falls and the sky shudders. Lovely. Pierre Morlin's Gong. I already told you about Gong Time is the key. That's when Pierre Morlin kind of took over Gong for a couple albums, and Leave It Open has an epic xylophone masterpiece. Really well done. I'll have the right instrument on that. Mogwai, fear Satan. Yes. Francis Monkman, The Dawn of Man, which was famously lifted by Jeffrey Downes for that Yes album. The Ice Bridge. The keyboard on that is a lift of this. Yeah, oopsie. But they worked it out. He got credit and money. Yeah. Mono, loud and soft, just like explosions in the sky. Ronnie Montrose, Open Fire. I remember when that came out. I think it was the late 70s, 78 maybe. And that was really a driving rock instrumental. That was introduced to by my prog rock loving friend Frank. Moody Blues, The Voyage. They had so many great instrumentals. The Voyage is probably the best, the trippiest. Steve Morse Band, Arena Rock, without the words. Mott the Hoople, on their very first album, did a version of You Really Got Me, instrumental. Pete Namlook, there's another name should be looking up. He did so many great albums before his early untimely death, but Ark is the place to start. It's amazing. If you like that, you're going to like just about everything he does, or did, I should say. R. Carlos Nakai, the American Indian, native flute, Shaman's Call, Canyon Reverie, gorgeous. Just put it on and you'll love it. Nash the Slash was an FM. He did some solo records. Wolf is his best instrumental. Nine Inch Nails has a lot of great instrumentals. One of my favorites is The Way Out Is Through, which I think is on the Fragile. Uh, Known as Ictus. That's a variation, a name from another band is going to come up later in the list, right? Note to self, remember the name of the other band. Coming up, Chickens in the Mist. What more do you want? Ufoy, Space Forest, very ethereal. Highly recommended. If you like ethereal instrumentals, Ufoy will take you to the farthest reaches. Orbital, love their instrumentals. A little bit dance oriented, but also kind of hard edged, especially Satan. Ozric Tentacles, that's the band I was just referring to, right? Great instrumentals. They would be great if I was a skateboarder, man. I'd be listening to Ozric Tentacles while I'm skateboarding. Lucifer, the greatest instrumental by the Alan Parsons Project. Fido is a band you got to check out from Prague, modern Prague. Pink Floyd Echoes, everybody knows, legendary 23 minutes. John Luke Ponte, whose name I did remember for that episode, Cosmic Messenger, gorgeous. Sonics, an instrumental. Popova, City Raga, lives up to its name. Billy Preston, Out of Space, funky. Trevor Rabin did NBA on TNT theme, just letting you know. He made a mint just from that. He did soundtracks too, you know that. Raphael, River Seeks the Deep, number 128 here, is so ethereal, but in a sensual way. It's ethereal and sensual at the same time. I highly recommend the New Age music of Raphael, not the Spanish artist, for sensual instrumentals. Great with massage. Take my word for it. Robert Rich is kind of a Steve Roach wannabe. Ooh, I said the first negative thing. But A Flock of Metal Creatures is really good. Otherwise, I find him too derivative, honestly. Steve Roach does it better. In between that, though, at 1:30 is Stan Ridgway. He takes a walk. He can turn a great instrumental. He really can. They're ethereal. Steve Roach has an album called The Magnificent Void, one of the greatest dark ambient albums of all time, and it has a song on it called Between the Gray and the Purple. It's the best. That will take you to another dimension. The Magnificent Void. Highly recommended. Along with the album he did with Vina Obmana, Well of Souls. Oh, that one is also deeply takes you to a deep chamber, you know. instrumental. Robohand's Lament is short jazz. Love it. Wakes Up Skulls, kind of like dance music, but if it was European, because it is. Todd Rundgren, Treatise in Cosmic Fire is delightful instrumental. Rush XYZ is legendary. Sadistic Mika Band, Time to Noodle, and they did. But they also did some good songs with vocals, and the singer was definitely eye candy. Hareton Salvanini, Italian. Is that Italian? Maybe? Must be. San Tropez is. Put it on, you're on vacation. Santana Soul Sacrifice, legendary. Schiller, Color. Surprisingly, Schiller's big in Europe, but America doesn't really know him, but he's a great instrumentalist. Very textured in, I guess, along the lines of Tangerine Dream. Robert Schroeder, right? It's got that, that I was going to say Kraftwerk sound. Back to the Earth, it's computerish. Klaus Schultz, Crystal Lake is a longer excursion. Really well done. Great instrumentalist for long compositions. Sea Level, an offshoot of the Allman Brothers, Rain in Spain. You get a little Allman Brothers flavor in there, but it's also jazzy. Really like Sea Level. I highly recommend it. If you're into rock or jazz, Sea Level will fill the bill instrumentally. Sky Cries Mary. Now, there's a band that didn't do as well as they could have. Their songs maybe weren't as polished, but their instrumentals are my favorites. My favorite one is 4 a.m. Got a little spoken passage in it. Really good. Really something you want to listen to at 4 a.m. It's so good. Sleeping Pandora, great guitar. If you like guitar, you're going to like Sleeping Pandora. Every album is just awesome. It's got videos on YouTube too. Small Faces, yes, Ogden's Nook on Flake is an instrumental. That's pop rock without the words. Space Circus is jazz fusion, really well done. Spin, Grasshopper, same story, jazz fusion, well done. State Azure does a remake of Tangerine Dreams of Love on a Real Train, and it's better than the original. Not often you can say that. Michael Stern's Alien Shores from his album Encounter, which is probably the best UFO record around. You want to experience a UFO? Get Michael Stern's Encounter. Cat Stevens was Donut is a fun instrumental. Strange Cargo's Hulaville is one of my favorite albums. It's called Hinterland by Strange Cargo. Instrumentally, a lot of textures. Some is more upbeat, some slower, and it's all fantastically well done. Okay. Strange Cargo is not a band, really. It's an individual. Sugar Pill, Funky. The Sunshine Band. Yes, that's Casey and the Sunshine Band, my mother's favorite. And they had a song called Funky 75, instrumental. It's everything you would think it would be. Sweet, Man with a Golden Arm. They're better with the songs with words, but this is a good adventure. Tangerine Dream, Horizon, the best song from their live album Poland and just about anything in their catalog. It's really fantastic. Heavy duty textures and Horizon. Crank the stereo for that one. Tennessee C dabbled in instrumentals. How dare you? It's all right. Pop rock. Their albums are better for the quirky words. Thinking Plague, Warheads, very challenging instrumental listening. If you like challenging instrumental listening, Thinking Plague is your band. Uh-oh. I went to the right when I should have gone left. Here's back to the list. Where They Leave Off, Torch Song is another offshoot of Strange Cargo. William Orbit, that's the guy who did these. I remembered it now. Thanks to Torch Song, Toward the Unknown Region is just like another version of Strange Cargo Hinterland. Almost as good. Traffic Glad should be legendary. Listen to it. Love Traffic for their songs with words like rock and roll too. Transatlantic's Overtures, Majestic. Traveling Wilburys, Work It Out is instrumental, if anything. I think it might say Work It Out in it. I'm not sure. John Tropea, Can't Hide Love. Lovely. spacey jazz. Two Boy Army, I Nearly Married a Human, very contemplative. Gary Newman, Two Boy Army, electronic, you know what to expect. UK's Alaska, so sparse, so sharp. Utopia, the icon, is over 30 minutes. That's a mind journey. Vangelis Antarctica Echoes is probably his most ethereal instrumental, but Vangelis is my favorite instrumental artist. I highly recommend his album, The Conquest of Paradise, also Blade Runner, and Antarctica is the album where Antarctica Echoes comes from. So many good albums. Van Halen Eruption, legendary rock. Rick Wakeman, Merlin the Magician, probably his finest instrumental, too. He did many good instrumentals, but Merlin the Magician is the best. Wall of Voodoo, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, right? That's Stan Ridgway doing instrumental with his band, Wall of Voodoo, before he went solo. Got a great little penny whistle thing going on there. Joe Walsh's Funk 49. You know, that's rock and roll. Dexter Wansel, Life on Mars. That's pleasant jazz. Sadao Watanabe, that's some very ethereal jazz, all about love. Eberhard Weber, The Colors of Chloe, really great fusion, jazz, more jazz than fusion. White Noise, Black Mass lives up to its title. If you want something sinister, The Who's Overture is like an encapsulation of the entire Tommy album about the words. Edgar Winter Group, Frankenstein. I think it went to number one. I think everybody knows that one. Stevie Wonder has a song called Contusion from the Songs in the Key of Life. It's instrumental, definitely fusiony. He proved he could do it. Yellow Magic Orchestra, Firecracker is a fun bit of instrumental. They were a fun group. Finally, Hans Zimmer, Seawall from Blade Runner 2049. There it is, 181 instrumentals. That will keep you busy for a while. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have some great listens.